Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to be a little stopped up. It is springtime, which means it's allergy time, which means it's time for congestion and all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm going to sound a little different, but that's just the way it is around here. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of spalted maple from a tree I cut down years ago, and I let it start rotting on the ground, and it ended up being spalted, which makes for a really neat design, neat patterns and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do with this is just going to be a pretty simple process, something you can do with just an old, like a leftover piece of a 4x4 or landscape timber or anything like that if you want to. I'm just going to make like a pencil or pen holder, I guess, something you could put on a desk somewhere, display, keep all your pens and whatnot in order and available and everything. So what I'm going to do is where it was cut here, there's actually a piece of the live edge still left. I'm going to take that on the saw and I'm going to clean it up, clean this bevel off here, and then match it over here, the same angle and everything. And then down the middle, probably just like a couple rows of holes drilled just on the drill press and everything. Of course, you make them whatever size you would need for whatever you're trying to do with it: pens, pencils, markers, anything like that. Make it bigger, smaller, however you want to do it. This is just how I'm going to do it, kind of show the process and everything. So let's go on and get started on that and take a look at it at the end and see how it turns out. So as you can see, the saw is not going to reach quite as high as I'd like it to, but this is also a little higher than it needs to be, a little taller than it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down, the whole overall height of it. Trim it down until I can get this to the point where I can trim this off and make this angle on it, and then turn it around and do it on the other side as well. So I'm going to go trim this down, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so the next step before I go to sanding on this and finishing it, and probably just put a baby oil coat on this, just something to kind of bring out the colors and everything. Of course, like you can always put a clear coat on it of some sort if you'd like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some measurements of a few different things that, like I said, you could put in here: markers, carpenter's pencils, pens, whatever, whatever you want to put in it. So I'm going to get an idea of what size holes I'm going to need, and then try to lay them out, fairly centered on the board here. What I actually might do on this one, just since I'm showing how to do it, is I might just make one line of holes down the center of it, and just make them different sizes, just to kind of show what you can put in them and everything like that. And then when I drill the holes, they'll probably only be drilled down about halfway through this. You want enough that it's big enough, the hole's big enough here, that whatever you're putting in it will go in without a whole lot of slop. And then you want it deep enough that it's not going to like fall over or fall out of the hole or anything like that. It's always bad when things fall out of holes. But so yeah, I'm just gonna get everything kind of laid out. Just gonna do one line down through here just to show, and then we'll drill the holes, and then we'll go over and sand everything, put a finish coat on it, and kind of get it set up with some stuff in it so you can take a look at it and see how it displays and how it, something you can keep on a desk, and you can keep things handy that you use, pretty often. Alright, so you can see I've got it all marked out here. Disregard all these lines. These are other things I don't need, but the ones that are circled are my center points for the holes that I'm going to drill. Everything laid out here, 3/4 inch, 2 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, and a 7/8. It's going to allow all the things I just measured to fit inside there. It should fit in there, you know, fairly tight. Not a whole lot of play in them, which is what you want, because you don't want them moving around a whole lot, falling over, falling out, all that. Like I said, I'm going to take it over here on the drill press now and drill the holes down about halfway through this to make sure that there's, you know, they're deep enough that they'll hold and stay and everything else. So then after that, I'll go over and sand everything. Whenever you're making marks on stuff like this with the pencil, you can always erase it later if you want. Most of this, or actually all of this, will sand out when you go to the sanding process, but just to make it a little easier on you, just make your marks fairly light. You know, when you're writing on it, you don't want to bear down on it real hard and make a big dark line, because then it, you know, just makes it harder for it to sand out. So let's go on over and drill these holes, and then we'll start sanding it, and we'll be ready to finish it up and take a look at it. I'm going to be using Forstner bits on this. They're going to make a fairly clean flat hole. Just have a little bit of this point down in the bottom, which won't affect anything, but for the most part it'll make a flat bottom hole, so when it goes in, it's not at a taper, nothing tries to lock in or anything like that. It'll keep it nice and clean. Alright, so now, as with other projects we've done like this before, we'll break out the old baby oil again. Like I said, this can be sprayed with any kind of finish pretty much you want. It's just raw wood. You can use a lacquer or a polyurethane, any kind of, I can't think right now. Anyway, use any kind of finish you want. I'm just going to use the baby oil to highlight everything, bring it out, and kind of show you what it's going to look like. And that's actually not bad. The belt sander actually does pretty well going against the grain, or I'm sorry, with the grain like that. So I'm going to leave it as is. You're welcome to, you know, sand down these corners more if you want, or, you know, round them over, sand them down, soften them up, however you want to do it. I'm just going to leave it kind of crisp, clean lines on this one. So I'm just going to go on and oil it up. Now we'll get the stuff put in it, kind of take a look at it at the end. Alright, and there you go. That's pretty much it. Like I said, it's just kind of a little display piece to, you know, hold your utensils, you know, writing utensils and stuff like that you might use on a pretty regular basis. You know, something you set on the desk and keep everything out and keep it handy. Has a nice look to it. You know, it's a nice natural wood look. You see on the end grains always take more, they'll take more finish or oil or anything you put in them. You see where it's actually starting to dry out. If I need to, just keep going back over this and oiling it until it's, you know, pretty much saturated and holds it in there pretty good. But, you know, overall, it looks really neat. It's a neat little, just neat little quick thing to do to keep stuff organized on your desk or whatever. And it has a nice look to it. You know, I've always liked kind of the spalted, natural look of wood anyway, but so that looks really good. That's pretty much going to do it. That's a pretty quick, easy little thing to do, and yeah, there it is. Alright, and again, that's going to do it for another video. As always, thank you all for stopping by and watching. And if you like the content here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And then when you subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of my upcoming videos. And as always, thank you again. We'll see you next time. Take care. Oh my god. Did I just say that? Oh my god. So what I'm gonna do before I sand it is my dad's outside mowing. Let me go close the door. It might help a little bit.